Hey everybody, Dr. Mike Reed from Chiropractic Masters. I want to welcome everyone to this Master Talk. Today I have a good friend of mine, Dr. Don Hayes. Many of you know Don Hayes as a chiropractic nutritional expert. He's president of the Wellness Watchers, makers of Green First. It's one of those products that I've been using in my practice for years. He's also an international speaker, authored many books, including, which I think is really cool, a project he did with Michael Gerber called the E-Myth Nutritionist, why most nutrition practices don't work and what to do about it. So Don, I want to welcome you to our Master Talk tonight.
Well, Mike, thank you for having me. I look forward to today.
So Don, let's get right into it. Let's just talk about, just briefly, for the doctors that don't know you, let's talk about your evolution, how you got to where you're at today with Greens First.
Okay. Well, you know, I am what we all are here. I'm a chiropractor first. And I graduated in '77, many years ago. And when I did, I was an associate for a year. I hung out with a guy who was a straight practitioner. I loved Gonstead at the time. And I'll tell you what, he worked me to death and paid me nothing. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me because I really learned what a straight practice is all about. And I really learned how to see volume people. So I went out into my own practice after about a year. And you know what, Mike? It didn't happen for me. All the technology, all the stuff that I had learned, everything I did, it just didn't grow. And I was sitting there very frustrated. And somebody told me about this guy named Michael Gerber. And I said, well, who is he? And I was in California and he was in the Bay Area. And he said, oh, he's a consultant. He'll show you how to grow your business. Is he a chiropractor? Nope. I said, well, what would I talk to a non-chiropractor about growing a chiropractic? It didn't make sense. So I called up Gerber, and at those days, you know, now you can't get to him, but in those days, he answered the phone practically, and he talked to me a little bit and said, tell me about your problem. And I kind of hesitantly told him, and he said, look, Don, you got a bigger problem than you think you do. It's all about organization. It's all about what he called the E-Myth, entrepreneurial myth. I go, what the heck is E-Myth? And he said, it's an analogy like you go to a plumbing school to learn to be a plumber, and you're the world's best plumber, and then you leave your plumbing school thinking you know how to run a plumbing business. And he said, there's two different things. And he said, if you want to come up here and spend some time with me, I'll show you how to run a chiropractic business. And none to lose. I went up and did it, and I got to tell you, within something like about 6 to 9 months, that practice had exploded as I took what I had learned chiropractically, and I married it with what I knew now how to run a chiropractic business. So I did that and then multiplied that into 4 other offices and ran them for over 20 years. And I got to tell you something, everybody I taught or talked to, I tried to send them to the idea that it's not the same thing knowing chiropractic and practicing chiropractic. They are two different things. Thus, the entrepreneurial myth, and he's helped, you know, thousands of business people. So it transferred 20 years later, Mike, I got the opportunity to co-author with Michael Gerber in the field of nutrition, the E-Myth Nutritionist, and that was really a highlight of my life. But somewhere around 20, 25 years in practice, I got antsy. I wanted to do something different. I got an opportunity to become a partner with the world's largest nutrition company at the time. They had 400 products. The owner of that company was an entrepreneur himself, self-made man. And he sat down and listened to me. I told him, I said, you know what? You got 400 products. I'm a chiropractor. Us chiropractors aren't interested in 400 products. And I kind of laid a little E-Myth on him there. And I said, you know, you need to know a system, put a system in place that we could actually use the nutrition that we want to use. He said, let's do it. And so for 7 years, I was a partner with him there. And that really gave me the education about nutrition. I mean, I hung around with people like Jeff Bland, PhD, for 7 years. I mean, today called the father of functional medicine. And in that whole process, I learned what I didn't know about nutrition. It evolved me to a point where nutrition was not about vitamins on a wall, trying to sell vitamins to patients. It was really about trying to put the right kind of nutrients in a patient to get better outcomes. They weren't interested in that. And so, you know, then they told me they were going to sell their business. And so I transferred out of that and founded my own company. Handful, it's a boutique. but was set up then with the idea that, hey, here's what we're going to do. Design products that actually enhance and improve the chiropractic outcome. And that's really what GreenShirt is about.
So let's just talk about that, because, you know, one of the things that I've seen in my practice is you can have patients with chronic inflammation, and, you know, I've been adjusting for over 22 years, and you see these chronic patterns with patients and until you start changing the biochemistry. So let's just talk about the importance of the biochemical and the subluxation patterns. So sort of looking at both those from a perspective of wellness.
Well, that's where the light bulb goes on for a lot of colleagues when I finally talk to them. Right. I talk to them about published research. In fact, I'll just point to it here. I'll probably bring it with me when I'm there. You can see this article, but this is an article in Spine. Now, Spine is considered one of the most prestigious journals in the world on treating spinal disorders. And published research in Spine it's called the role of inflammation in low back pain, right? Or the hot disc, let's say, the low back. It says in there the best explanation, Mike, for inflammation in low back pain is a combination of mechanical and biochemical factors. They went on to show the research. And so many of it, when you study this research and you realize, because you and I, all of us have experienced great outcomes. We get great outcomes chiropractically because the adjustment itself does alkalize the body. It does help rid a lot of stress, and it's a subluxation removal and all the different things that we're taught. I'm a very straight, principled chiropractor. But when the research finally came out and said that the origin of pain, all pain, regardless of what you want to call it, stabbing or acute or tingling or whatever, all pain comes from inflammation. And there is a biochemical component. The tough thing now that if we understand this is that if you want to improve the outcomes, you want to start with that premise in mind, that when that patient comes to you and I, there is a biochemical component. What percentage is on a meter we're going to hook up to them, 80, 20, 60, 40. But with today's toxins, 110,000 known toxin chemicals in the world, labeled obesogens, that is the actual scientists call these man-made chemicals. Do you know there are patients that are coming to us today that mimic identically a whiplash, a hot low disc, with no mechanical stress whatsoever because of the toxic involvement, the biochemical inflammation. So it really behooves you and I to understand that, how to test for that, how to measure it, and better yet, how to treat it. And it's not a vitamin deficiency, Mike.
And I agree with you, Don, especially when you have those chronic conditions that aren't clearing up. You've got to look at the biochemical and the acidity of patients. I mean, with their diets, with the environment, you know, everything around us. I'm a firm believer that a lot of today's pathologies that we have out there, the metabolic diseases, the inflammatory diseases, they are due to what the environment, the biochemical environment is stating on the inside of the body. And that's where a number of years ago, and I know this is sort of a conundrum a lot of chiropractors are in. Do I stay as a straight chiropractor, or what I like to suggest, be a straight chiropractor, but look at that biochemical component, because the subluxation pattern is physical, chemical, and emotional. So
right.
Let's just talk about, Don, you know, what you discovered from your research and the years you've seen patients, and how you started to evolve a biochemical or nutritional response to what you've seen with that inflammation.
Well, see, here's the issue, because we have a tendency to understand it a little bit with chronic inflammation, and then we blow by this thing called acute. Now, you and I both know, and everybody listening right now, unless they're in school and haven't had a chance to experience it in practice, you may have a whiplash tomorrow and blame your neck pain on whiplash. Okay, it's an acute manifestation of a chronic underlying condition. There's chronicity underneath that in every one of us. There's toxicity in every one of us. The EPA did a study, and it said 99% of us have obesogens in our body. We have these man-made toxic chemicals. That term, by the way, was coined by a guy named Blumberg at UCI Irvine, and it's just a fact of life. They're out there, and it's worse today than 20 years ago. So it is really the acute. You know, an acute patient that comes into you and I on day one either has an acute manifestation of a chronic problem, or let's say for some reason it is really acute. When you tear tissue, when you actually inflame musculoskeletal tissue, damage it, it releases inflammatory hormones that are no different to the body than if they were chronic and laying there. So I don't care if a patient brings me pain, and you tell me any pain, as much as many of us don't want to say we treat pain, you tell me a patient that comes into you and I that's not in pain, chronic or acute. When they bring you pain, it helps us know that there is an underlying biochemical component to that, and now how best to treat that. And again, I mentioned a couple of times now, it's not a vitamin deficiency. We don't have beriberi or scurvy or one of the, I mean, there's 12 known vitamins, Mike, and they've spun this into 900 to 1,200 SKUs that overwhelms us. So we got to get to the basics of what's going to help that inflammatory situation quickly. I mean, we've heard of the omega oils and we've heard of some vitamin D, but we're talking about real cutting edge type nutrition that does something very quickly to obviously reduce that inflammation and make that healing process faster and better along with the adjustments. When we do that, when we put those components together, you're going to get better outcomes faster. It's just a fact of life, because we're going to deal from day one with the biochemical component, the factor that spine says is there. Spine, our journal, it's a part of that. And the mechanical, we got that wired. But too many of us are either out there saying, oh, I don't know, it's just maybe I'll hit them harder, longer, faster, more. You know, I'm a chiropractor first. And then maybe they come back and say, oh, we have some wellness nutrition. That's not it. You know, I've used the analogy, if you and I went to an orthopedic surgeon, and we had a completely destroyed disc, and he says, I got to trim some of the disc, and I got to open up the foramen. I mean, a patient's not going to sit there and say, okay, I'll let you trim the disc, but you don't get to open up the foramen. I mean, it's absurd, right? So we're asking, like, a patient comes in to me in pain and has a problem, they don't really want to know what I'm doing. They want me to get them out of pain. And I'm going to tell them, you have a biochemical component, you have a mechanical component. We need to address both of those from day one, and that's what we're going to do. And I can talk about what ingredients do that if that's what you want me to do, but that's the approach. Day one, we got to attack this, Mike.
Yeah, I agree with you. So let's shoot to the fast and dirty, because, you know, I've been using nutritional protocols and the Greens First. It's been part of my morning rituals for the last 10 years or so. But let's talk about, you know, let's go right to the fast and dirty. Here we are, 2017, almost 2018. What have you discovered, Don, in all your years of experience that the majority of your patients or all your patients really require? What is the protocols that you're following now?
Okay, the bottom line is this. They are loaded with toxins. There's 100% of that. There's 110,000. No, that's a given, right? On top of that, they may have had an injury. On top of that, more than likely did lifting, whiplash, whatever. So what we have found in my years that I had spent those 7 years there with this company and hanging around a guy like Jeff Bland, I mean, Bland had always worked and looked and sought to find ways to detox toxins out of the body, trying to do it properly without triggering a thing called Herxheimer, making the condition worse instead of better. But the bottom line is what we found is phytonutrients. Those things found in plants, I mean, the phytonutrient found in plants have the ability to actually communicate with the cell membrane. The inflammation is at the cellular level. It's cellular inflammation at the level of the cell, and all the cells are inflamed. And so when the cell membrane gets inflamed, the toxins then affect the inside of the cell, the mitochondria that produce the energy. What's the number one thing every patient tells you? And they're fatigued and tired. The toxins do that. The more phytonutrients, and we got to have a vast array of phytonutrients. Greens First is that we continue to beef that up. It's now, you know, we have many more superfoods in it than we did even 10 years ago because we keep adding to the phytonutrients. So we have to have a huge abundance of alkaline phytonutrients. Guyton himself, if you go to Guyton Physiology, he's the one that coined the term, his mentor at Harvard, I should say, Walter Cannon, wrote a book called The Origin of Pain. And in there, he coined the term homeostasis. So Guyton mentored that idea of homeostasis. We know what that is in chiropractic, is balance. And so he says pH is the marker for finding out if you're in homeostasis, if you're in balance, pH. Now there's blood pH and there's cellular pH. We confuse those, Mike. Blood pH is 7.4, never changes until the last day you die because it robs the alkaline minerals in your body to do that. So when you're inflamed and you have this inflammation and cellular pH, it can be measured through saliva and urine very accurately. I like urine much better. And there are numbers that you must hit if you're going to be in homeostasis. So the phytonutrients will help alkalize that body. But we found that over these 15 years of owning and using Greens First with thousands of doctors and tens and thousands of patients, there was something missing. And the missing component was what we now have called acid neutralizer, the binding agent necessary. Mike, I can alkalize you immediately with Greens First. Right. I can tell you to eat a better alkaline diet, good luck, but I can alkalize you supplementally where one scoop of this is extremely powerful in providing these phytonutrients that alkalize. You'll feel energy immediately, but we have to bind that acid. You know, high school chemistry, acid, base, neutral salt, right. Gone. The body will not eliminate a toxic acid through the blood in the liver. It cannot. It burns those tissues, so it stores them. So if we can get this acid neutralizer, which is alkaline minerals, specially designed, not baking soda. I get all kinds of crazy suggestions. You got to get the right kinds of alkaline minerals. But when we combine acid neutralizer, scoop for scoop, with Greens First Pro, you'll be shocked at what we're doing because we're able to alkalize, neutralize the acid, binding it into a neutral salt. Now it can go into the blood. It won't go into blood, otherwise it's too acidic. And then it can go into the liver and you can urinate it away. And you know how we know if it's right or not? Right on your urine pH. It's as simple as this. First morning urine has to be acidic if you're healthy. After your first morning urine, you need to have a urine above 7.0. If you're not above 7.0, you're acidic cellularly. And you're not winning any game here. Even if you're a young man, you're losing lean body mass, you're losing natural alkaline minerals. But if you're elderly and you're hurting, you're really out of line. So why we're not using pH, I don't know, but that's the idea. Phytonutrients and the proper balance of alkaline minerals.
Well, let's just talk about the two non-invasive tests you talked about. That's really quick and easy because, you know, one of the challenges I had in my practice, and I was a volume practice adjusting 7 times a week. Very, very difficult to stop and do nutritional. So it has to be very quick with you know, something that's reproducible. What are you using, Don, in practice? What do you recommend for your doctors to use that's non-invasive and very quick to test this?
There's one component is subjective and one is objective. That's the way we do it in practice, right? The subjective is a questionnaire. There's the 40 leading symptoms of acidosis, cellular acidosis. I got an entire manual here. I'll just at least hold it up that I'll bring with me. This is the latest research on acidosis from the NIH. We're talking there's been more written on cellular acidosis in the last 5 years than the previous 50. We need to get up to speed. But subjectively, there are 40 of the top symptoms of acidosis. And it goes from 0 to 200. If you got 200, you're a block of acid. If you're 0, you're a newborn baby. You can't get any more alkaline than that. And you're going to be a subjective line on that thing. They'll fill that out quickly. Bang, bingo, we know where they are. So when we apply a nutritional program and our adjustments to that in 30 days and redo it, let's recess that. That's subjective. That's very valid. We need to be doing that. That takes no time. It's just part of the paperwork. The objective one is what I just said. It is the urine pH. We can do saliva. I don't waste time with saliva. That's your alkaline reserves. It's typically will follow the urine. We don't do the urine in the office. We don't have time for it. I don't want that in the office. I want you to send home. We have a little pH kit you see here. You can get them in any pharmacy, but you got to get a very accurate one. This has 12 different colors on it. You see, the different amount of colors is the quality of the paper, and it's very subtle. You got to make sure that you're over 7.0. Doctors will even tell me, oh, I'm 6'8", I'm pretty good. No, pretty good is 10 times more acidic, 6'8". It's a logarithmic scale. If you're 6'6", you're 100 times too acidic. Right. If you're 6'4", 1,000. So no, you have to be above 7. It's not me saying it. Guidance says look first to alkalize the body. So we don't have to do anything in the office. You know what I do in the office? You come into me with symptomatology. I already know from the research that I'll give you out of the book that you have got part of that pain is coming from a biochemical component and part is coming from structural. If we want to choose to ignore that, okay, we're going to get some better outcomes. We're not going to get the best outcome. So I'm going to build right into my dialogue, right into my consultation, right into my very first thing I'm going to say to you, patient Mike, is that, Mike, you've got a hot, low back. You got biochemical factors in there. You got mechanical factors in there. We're going to work on the outside of the body this way. This product here is going to work on the inside. We're going to put them together. And in 30 days, I'm going to retest that and see how you're doing. So really, it's a 30-day kit that you're going to take with you. Scoop of those each day. You're going to take them. You're going to, once a week, you're going to check your urine pH at home, right? Morning, noon, and night, one Monday a week. You're going to record it and bring it into me. At the end of 4 weeks, I'm going to have you do the subjective questionnaire again. I'm going to look at the trend. And Mike, we charge an office visit for that. I mean, this kit is not just buying a box that you're going to make $37 or $40 a box on. Doctors charge an office visit for the analysis of that because there's a whole frame around it. Why would we not charge to tell you how you're trending? But the critical thing is I may have to put you on a second kit or third kit. I got to put you on a program until I get what? Till I hit homeostasis. When I hit that, you're going to watch the magic happen because symptomatology-wise, it's going to improve substantially when you're able to alkalize the body and neutralize the acid. It's just that simple. And then if you want to use any other vitamin, if for some reason your technique allows you to know what vitamin they need, that's fine. But what did guidance say? Chapter 37, look first to alkalize the body. Right. That's really what I'm trying to do.
Makes sense. All right, so let's just talk about your solutions, Don. Some of the doctors on this call, and this is going to be sent as a replay and evergreened in our library. Let's just talk about the products that you've discovered that work. And I use them myself. This is why you're on the call. I only have people on that I trust and I know or use their products. Let's just talk about the product that you've discovered works best.
Okay. Actually, here I have the 2 products on this wrap. And I must say, I want to point out one thing because I'll just hold this up, and down here is one referral that I make reference to. This is Dr. Dan Beeson in Portland, Oregon. Dan is a very well-known chiropractor in Portland. He was on the board in Oregon. Dan is an unusual man. He's 6'8", 300 pounds. His story is he's 2 people in one body. He was on the Portland Trailblazers team, okay, for a period of time. Big man. Now, he has suffered for 30 years with chronic sciatica and in both feet. He's dragging his feet, lots of pain down there, neuropathy, right? Tried everything mechanically, tried everything nutritionally. And he got a hold of me. We gave him these 2 products. And within a week, you'll see his testimony. He can sleep. His sciatica is down. His neuropathies are better. He's actually feeling more energy, the package. And he can't wait to get them on every musculoskeletal patient. So product number 1 is a powdered drink, Greens First, but this is Greens First Pro. This is what you've been taking, Mike. 54 different superfoods, loaded with phytonutrients, the best in the world. I can keep track of a few products and make sure that what's on that label is in that can. Highest quality there. That's why we do this, and I did it for outcomes. But the big win was this one. In addition to that, was acid neutralizer. Again, a powder, 30 servings. So a scoop and a scoop together. Bottom line is, in 1 week, if we don't see the pH going above 7, this is the one you're going to take a second scoop of, Mike. You may take a third scoop of this. I don't know how much alkaline minerals it's going to take to bind those acids. There's 1 scoop of this, 1 or more of this, but we're going to get you over that 7 mark. We're going to get you where guidance says you need to be. Homeostasis. Again, I don't know what vitamin you need, but it sure as heck have no excuse to know where you should be from a physiological pH point of view. And those numbers will do that. Dan was surprised because when he called me, he said, Don, I'm still not getting over the number. I said, double down. And he doubled it twice. And guess what? He called me when he turned purple. The paper turns purple when he's 7-0. But it's that simple. It's almost too simple, but it's really basic physiology.
And, you know, I have to admit that I've seen much better results with my patients and patterns that are holding longer, too, those subluxation patterns that are chronic. So, you know, I'm a big advocate of it. We do workshops. And, you know, we bring up our Greens First every quarter. It is there, especially our detox and weight loss programs. Greens First patients love it. So fantastic. Don, let's just give the doctors on this call your contact information. They want to find out more about you, your product, your website. Where can they go?
Well, they could go to the two of these put together, as you'll see here, come in a box. As you see here, that's a 30-day supply, along with a pH testing kit, a cup, and the two products. And they come in different flavors. So deacidify kit, you know, we're playing on that a little bit because they know they have acid, they have acidosis. We're going to de-acid them, deacidify. So they can go to deacidifykit.com. This is for the doctor now. Deacidifykit.com. There's some information there. There's a short video there. They can click on that. The password that they'll need to use for that would be practitioners once they get there. That'll take them inside, Mike. I got 7 minutes where I can show them exactly what to do. But we have a lot of support material that will help them do it. My mission, like Gerber taught me, would be let's make sure that we do things efficiently, effectively. I'm only interested in one thing, improving outcomes. Will outcomes help get the seven-figure income that you're talking about? We all know, I can tell you, you can make X number of dollars because of the nutrition. So what? The big thing is, Mike, when you're able to improve the outcome faster, you get more referrals. You and I both know to the penny what a referral was worth, and so does all your listeners. It's about getting referrals. So we're going to help significantly get those outcomes better quicker, something that's braggability rights, and get more referrals. But along the way, you know, the nutritional money doesn't hurt. It can pay your full overhead easy enough. So deacidifykit.com. You can get a hold of us at greensfirst.com as well. And the toll free is 866-410-1818.
Fantastic. Hey, Don, let's take a few questions. We have a lot of doctors out there. So, docs, you have a chat box. And if you have a question for Don Hayes of Greens First and Weight Watchers, just type it in the box and we'll get that answered. So, and Don, we've got you speaking at Prosperity coming up October 27th, 28th in Richmond, Virginia. Doctors who are interested is prosperitysummit.net to find out more information about the speaker that we have there. So any of the participants, we have a lot of doctors on today. Feel free just to type in, or if you have a question, put up your hand. I know we have some doctors on telephone. So, and I don't like to open up these lines because we have too much feedback. So if you have a question for Don Hayes, just type it in the chat box or try to raise your hand. I'll try to get to you, and you can ask your question to Don Hayes. Okay, can you get your product in the Great White North in Canada? Of course you can.
Of course you can.
You ship it across the 49th parallel, right?
You know, and I got to tell you, the Canadian market is a massive market because I think very few doctors know that we can get it there. So the ones that do carry it, they have a monopoly up there. But yes, you can get it, and the patients love it. Now, what they end up doing, Mike, they charge more for it. But sure, that's your call, and believe me, the patient will pay what they feel it's worth.
Let me just share with you, Don, and the listeners on this. Order 2 boxes from Don. Stack them at your front desk, discount it by 15%, put a little research brochure out talking about the benefits of the Greens First, and get those from Greens First, and then do a carafe of samplers, and a nice carafe in a cool bath, pour it at the front, let patients taste it, check their pHs before they have it, check their pHs after, and watch the stuff fly off your shelf. We did this in Shireen's practice. I told her buy 4 cases, she bought 2, she blew them all out in one day. So it's a very effective technique that we recommend as point of sales with the sampler like the Costco Factor, and it's a great way to introduce it to your patients.
Mike, that works wonderful. We call it, having a taste day. On your busiest day, having a taste day, because once someone gets tired of that green look and they realize it tastes pretty good, then they want to feel better, and so it works wonderful.
Absolutely, and the people who start on it, the energy increases, their sleep is better, they start detoxifying. It's a great product. I highly recommend it. Your contact information for the doctors on this call.
Yeah, if they go to deacidifykit.com, they'll go in there, they'll be asked to put in a password. Password will be practitioners. And when they go in there, they'll get into the back door. And in that back door, they'll be able to get a lot more of me. I video there. It's only a 7-minute video, but I got it down to where I can show you. That's how easy this is. I mean, Gerber taught me, and the E-Myth Nutritionist is based on, when we say why most nutrition practices don't work and what to do about it, is that because we study nutrition, Mike, we think we know how to sell nutrition. And we don't know how to sell it. And many of us that have high volume practitioners, it frightens me because all of us want better outcomes, and we avoid it because we think we got to get a wall full of vitamins behind us and try to sell those. Worst thing in the world to do. You're not a vitamin salesperson. You're a doctor trying to get a better outcome. So when you build this in that way, so we teach you, you'll get a better outcome, and you'll sell nutrition. And it's really the way to do it. You're going to take care of the outcome first. Nutrition will follow.
All right. Don, I somehow lost my screen, so that happens sometimes when you're playing with new technology. But listen, I want to thank you for being on this call with us today and sharing your wisdom. As always, thank you for being on. And for the doctors, thank you for joining us. Until next week's the Master Talk, we look forward to having you guys join us. Same time, same bat channel next week. Thank you, everybody. And Don, thank you for being on this Master Talk with us.
Mike, thank you. I look forward to seeing you and all your client base at Prosperity.
Sounds good. We'll see you soon.
All right, bye-bye.
I'd love to have you subscribe, comment, like, and share this video with your friends. And don't forget to go to www.chiropractic-masters.com for more free practice building tools.